I couldn't have foreseen how my son's college graduation would conclude in such a manner. The ceremony at the University of Minneapolis was flawless, with clear skies, proud families, and an atmosphere filled with the infectious joy of achievement. Nathan had put in tremendous effort to earn his business degree, and my pride was immeasurable. However, a day meant to be among the happiest in our lives transformed unexpectedly. My name is Anna, and after a marriage spanning 25 years, I believed I knew my husband, Benjamin, inside out. We had established a comfortable life in Minneapolis, raising our son, and I felt confident in our happiness. While I pursued a career as a financial advisor, Benjamin managed his own consulting firm. Though not affluent, we had meticulously saved over the years, planning for our retirement and our son's future. That afternoon, as we gathered for photos post-ceremony, I noticed something off about Benjamin's behavior. He continuously checked his phone and cast nervous glances around. His assistant, Rebecca, was present as well, officially to help coordinate the celebration dinner, but her presence seemed peculiar. She was around 30 years old and had been working for Benjamin for 2 years. The turning point came during the celebratory champagne toast. Benjamin rose with a champagne glass, and I anticipated a heartfelt speech about Nathan's success. Instead, he cleared his throat and declared, "I have something important to say." His tone made my stomach churn. From my professional experience, I had witnessed many trying to mask their anxiety before making significant life changes. "I'm leaving," he declared, his voice unwavering but cold. "Rebecca and I are in love, and we're starting a new life together. I've already moved our savings for a fresh start." There was a deafening silence. Nathan's face lost color, and our guests shuffled uneasily. Rebecca stood beside Benjamin with a triumphant smile, her hand on his arm possessively. Yet, instead of the shock and devastation Benjamin clearly anticipated, I felt unexpectedly tranquil. Perhaps it was because I had seen this coming for months, or possibly because I had prepared for this very scenario. I reached for my purse, feeling the envelope's weight inside. 3 months prior, I'd noticed a red flag while reviewing our joint finances, a series of unusual transactions and expensive hotel bills. With my background in financial advising, I'm trained to detect irregularities, and these weren't random splurges. They followed a specific pattern, always appearing on the days Benjamin claimed to be working late. Minneapolis is not vast, and the recurring name, the Marquette downtown, just 2 blocks from his office, kept showing up, always on Wednesdays, always the same suite. I didn't confront him immediately. Instead, I delved deeper. My 2 decades of working with numbers had instilled patience and precision. I scrutinized every transaction, receipt, and suspicious movement in our accounts. The evidence accumulated steadily: dinner reservations for 2 at high-end restaurants, jewelry purchases from Tiffany's, and first-class plane tickets to Caribbean destinations I knew nothing about. Then came the revelation of offshore account transfers. Benjamin thought he was being clever by hiding funds in a Cayman Islands account, but he overlooked a vital detail. I'd managed our taxes for the past 15 years. I was familiar with every legitimate account, every investment, every penny we had saved together. These new transactions stood out like neon signs. The final piece of confirmation came from my friend Laura in HR at Benjamin's firm. One March afternoon, she called hesitantly saying, "Anna, I think there's something you should know. Rebecca just filed for a transfer to your husband's new satellite office in Bermuda." That was the moment I realized that Benjamin wasn't merely having an affair. He was orchestrating an escape. Everything clicked: the hidden money, the secret accounts, the orchestrated announcement he had planned. Nathan's graduation was chosen by Benjamin as the setting, thinking the public venue would prevent a scene. Little did he know I had been in collaboration with my lawyer, Patricia, for weeks. We had meticulously prepared everything: the divorce petition, evidence of tax fraud, and documentation of every suspicious transaction. I had even moved our savings discreetly into a separate account and collected proof of his affair. As I sipped my champagne, I observed Benjamin's self-assured demeanor after he concluded his announcement, convinced he had orchestrated the perfect exit plan. Unbeknownst to him, I had my own surprise prepared. Following Benjamin's announcement, Rebecca brazenly displayed a first-class ticket in front of everyone. "Our flight to Bermuda leaves tonight," she boasted, her voice filled with satisfaction. "We've already found the ideal beachfront property with your savings." The room buzzed with shocked whispers. Nathan's hands shook with anger, his graduation cap precariously perched on his head, while our friends and family hesitated in their seats, unsure whether to stay or leave amid an impending confrontation. Benjamin turned to me, an expression of mixed triumph and pity on his face. "I've left you enough for a few months' expenses," he declared generously. "I think that's more than fair considering." I cut him off, my voice unwavering. "Considering what? That I helped build your consulting firm from the ground up? That I managed our finances while you advanced your career? Or that I've been aware of your plan for months?" His smile began to waver, and Rebecca's grip on his arm tightened. "What do you mean you've known?" she demanded, her confidence starting to crumble. I retrieved the thick manila envelope I had prepared for my purse. "You know, Benjamin, for someone who prides himself on attention to detail, you should have been more cautious with your email password, the one you've kept for 20 years, Nathan's birthday. Not exactly secure." The color drained from his face as he mentally calculated the potential contents of the envelope. "Your plan was clever, I'll give you that," I continued, standing to confront him directly. "Setting up the Bermuda account, planning this announcement for Nathan's graduation, thinking I wouldn't make a scene. But you forgot something crucial about me." His voice was slightly hoarse as he asked, "And what's that?" "I don't just manage our family's finances. I do this professionally. Did you really think I would notice the transfers, the hotel charges, the hidden Cayman account?" I smiled, watching his eyes widen with each revelation. "Or maybe you assumed Laura and HR wouldn't inform me about Rebecca's transfer request to your new Bermuda office?" Benjamin's hands now shook, and Rebecca had stepped back, her triumphant grin replaced with uncertainty. "Here," I said, offering the envelope. "Before you leave for your new life, you might want to look at this. Consider it my graduation gift to you both." As Benjamin took the envelope with trembling fingers, I relished the moment, knowing everything I had unearthed was on the verge of being exposed. The best part was that he had no inkling of what was about to unfold. With trembling hands, Benjamin opened the envelope. I watched in silent satisfaction as he pulled out the stack of papers, his eyes widening as he read the first page. The divorce petition, already filed and stamped, seemed to ridicule his carefully planned schemes. What the hell is this?" he stammered, looking up at me in disbelief. I took another sip of champagne, relishing its crispness. "Oh, just some light reading before your romantic getaway," I replied sweetly. "You might want to pay special attention to page 3. Rebecca leaned over his shoulder, her perfectly manicured nails digging into his arm. She scanned the bank statements, which reflected a startling reality. Our joint account now held a zero balance. Weeks prior, every cent had been lawfully moved to an account in my sole name. "You can't do this," Benjamin stammered, his face turning a furious red. "That's our money." I arched an eyebrow, cutting him off. "Our money? Surely, you refer to the funds you intended to embezzle, the ones you've been funneling into offshore accounts." I gestured to another set of documents. "Incidentally, the IRS has shown a keen interest in your imaginative accounting techniques." As Benjamin sifted through the papers, the color drained from his face. He found hotel receipts, restaurant bills, and printed emails outlining his affair with Rebecca, including their plot for this precise revelation. Each document served as another nail in his plan's coffin. Nathan is beside me now, his graduation robe swishing as he approached. "Dad," he began, thick with disbelief, "were you truly going to do this today of all days?" Benjamin avoided our son's gaze, rifling frantically through the papers until he located the court order freezing his assets. His trembling hands almost let it fall. "Everything's been frozen," I explained quietly but firmly. "Your personal and business accounts, even that charming nest egg in the Cayman Islands. My attorney leaves no stone unturned." Rebecca's look of triumph was wiped clean. "Baby, what's happening? What's she saying with everything frozen?" I turned to her with feigned compassion. It means, darling, your benefactor is quite penniless. Not literally, just unable to touch his wealth. I trust you secured a return ticket because that premium lot in Bermuda might have to be postponed. The chill of disbelief engulfed the gathered guests while Laura, my confidant in unveiling their scheme, failed to completely hide her satisfaction. Thomas, Benjamin's younger sibling, shook his head in disdain even as his wife, Catherine, whispered, "Good for you, Anna." "You've destroyed everything," Benjamin hissed, his facade of confidence utterly disintegrated. I edged closer, my voice dropping so only he could hear. "No, you sabotaged anything the instant you turned your back on our family. I'm simply ensuring you face the repercussions of your actions." Documents fell from Benjamin's grasp, cascading across the floor like autumn leaves as Rebecca scrambled to salvage them, her humiliation evident. She faced the unspooling of their perfect plan, in full view of everyone. Composure deserted Benjamin utterly by the time he reached the final letter penned by his company's board of directors, his fingers clenching it so tightly it wrinkled at the margins. The letter announced an investigation into his relationship with Rebecca, noting potential power misuse and company resource abuse. "You went to the board," he murmured, a rasp disbelief lacing his words. "Actually, I didn't," I countered evenly. "It seems your conduct with a subordinate was sufficiently suspicious to catch their gaze. The ethics committee has noted you for months." Rebecca paled visibly. "What about my role?" she demanded. "Well," I said, gently setting down my champagne flute, "I think HR's term is immediate dismissal. However, given these circumstances, perhaps seeking employment in Minneapolis might prove challenging." Straightening abruptly, Benjamin tried to reclaim authority. "Utterly absurd. I was integral to that company from the ground up. They can, I cut indecisively. And indeed, they have. The board worries about looming litigation. You're far from the first executive fancied exploiting position with younger staff." Nathan stepped up, now clutching his graduation cap. "I cannot fathom that you did this. To Mom, to us, to all we established," he said. "Son, you." Benjamin's pleading came, reaching futilely for Nathan's arm. "Sometimes marriages." Nathan recoiled instantly. "Don't feign justification for this." "You were." "I fully comprehend the plan," Rebecca declared, gathering her poise in a feeble attempt to salvage the situation. "Benjamin, they cannot prove anything about us. We can contest this." I chuckled, the sound slicing sharply through the tense atmosphere. "The email conversation where you orchestrated this entire scheme, including today's revelation, the hotel receipts, and colleagues' testimonies, I believe they can demonstrate quite a lot." Despite a few of our guests quietly slipping away, most stayed to witness the unfolding drama, their expressions a mix of shock and intrigue. Benjamin's brother, Thomas, came over, placing a supportive hand on Nathan's shoulder. "How long?" Thomas questioned, his tone laden with disappointment. "How long have you been planning to abandon us, your family?" Benjamin's silence was incriminating, but Rebecca responded instead, her voice shrill with defiant anger. "We've been in love for 18 months. We shouldn't have to keep it hidden." 18 months, I remarked, tapping my chin thoughtfully. "Intriguing. That's precisely how long I've been collecting evidence. Every financial move, meeting, and little deception. I had an inkling it might prove useful someday." The weight of realization crashed over Benjamin's face. While he meticulously plotted his escape, I quietly outpaced him, constructing an unassailable case. His perfect scheme, the dream of starting anew with his young assistant, his secretly stashed money, all were slipping through his grasp like grains of sand. In one last desperate move to save his crumbling world, Benjamin implored, "Anna, be reasonable," lowering his voice to the persuasive tone he often used in business negotiations. "We can work something out, split things half and half, keep this civil." "Half and half," I echoed with genuine amusement. "Half of what exactly? The money you attempted to squirrel away? The company on the verge of firing you? Or perhaps you mean the house, which is solely in my name?" His head snapped up. "What do you mean? Solely in your name?" Remember last month? I said, a smile playing on my lips, when you were too busy to attend the mortgage refinancing meeting? You just signed the papers I brought home. You really ought to read documents before you sign them, Benjamin. The house is now solely in my name. Panic rising in her voice, Rebecca clutched Benjamin's arm. What about the Bermuda property? Our deposit is frozen, I calmly replied, along with every other transaction you've made in the past 6 months. I suspect the developer might be interested to learn the funds were fraudulently obtained. You vindictive buy. Benjamin's face twisted with rage, but Nathan's sharp voice cut through. Don't you dare finish that sentence. The remaining guests watched, stunned, as Benjamin's carefully constructed facade crumbled entirely. His shoulders slumped, and for the first time, he looked his age. I've collaborated with your lawyer, Patricia, I continued, maintaining my composure. She's prepared a fairly generous settlement offer, considering the circumstances. You can agree and sign now, or we can let the judge decide after reviewing all this evidence. It's your decision. Rebecca stepped back, horror dawning on her young face. You promised me security, she murmured to him. You said everything we'd need would be ours. Oh dear, I said, almost feeling a pang of sympathy for her. He promised me security too, 25 years ago. Look how well that went. Thomas, visibly disgusted, addressed his brother. The family lake house, the one you've been maintaining for Mom and Dad, have you been using it for your meetings too? Benjamin's silence was all the confirmation needed. I'll inform them myself, Thomas spat. They deserve to know what their son has become. Still donning his graduation robes, Nathan squared his shoulders. I think it's time for you both to leave, he declared, his voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. I observed as Benjamin's world crumbled before him. His son's graduation, which he had chosen as the grand stage for his dramatic exit, turned into a scene of ultimate embarrassment. The whispers and stares of our guests, the disdain on his brother's face, and the rejection in his son's eyes all descended upon him simultaneously. The settlement papers will be ready at Patricia's office on Monday, I declared, collecting my purse. Don't bother trying to access any accounts before that. I met Benjamin's defeated gaze and commented, I recommend flying coach to Bermuda. First class might now be beyond your budget. As Benjamin and Rebecca quietly left the graduation celebration, I turned to our remaining guests with a beaming smile and suggested, well, now that the unexpected entertainment is over, shall we properly celebrate Nathan's achievement? Laura approached to hug me and whispered, Anna, that was absolutely brilliant. I've never seen Benjamin speechless before. Nathan wrapped his arm around my shoulders and said, Mom, I can't believe you've been planning this for months without giving anything away. How did you stay so calm? Years of managing other people's finances have taught me patience, I replied, squeezing his hand. Watching your father's plans unravel was worth every minute of anticipation. Thomas lifted his glass, toasting to Anna, who just provided us with the most gratifying display of justice I've ever seen, and to Nathan, whose graduation will certainly be remembered for years to come. The remaining guests laughed, clinking their glasses as the tension in the room dissipated, transforming into a celebratory atmosphere with everyone gathered around to properly congratulate Nathan. As Catherine, Thomas's wife, pulled me aside, she commented on the perfectly timed letter from the board. Timing is everything in finance and revenge. I responded with a smile. The ethics committee had been working on their case for months, and I just ensured their announcement aligned with his planned escape. As we moved the celebration to the restaurant I had reserved, distinctly different from the one Benjamin planned to use, I felt lighter than I had in a long time. The weight of Benjamin's betrayal and deceit was replaced by a sense of triumph and liberation. Nathan leaned over and whispered, Best graduation gift ever, Mom. 2 weeks later, I found myself across from Patricia in her downtown Minneapolis office, going over the final divorce settlement. Benjamin had signed everything without objection, drained of any fight from our confrontation on graduation day. The company's ethics investigation uncovered even more than I had initially found, with 3 more young assistants coming forward about Benjamin's improper conduct. The board promptly terminated him, his reputation in the business community irreparably damaged. Rebecca, facing her crisis, quickly abandoned their plans for a new life, reportedly moving back to Chicago to live with her parents, her aspirations of being a trophy wife in Bermuda completely dashed. The house is secure, the assets are protected, and the tax fraud evidence has been handed over to the appropriate authorities, Patricia said as she organized the final documents. I'd say this is one of the cleanest divorces I've managed despite the circumstances. That evening, Nathan, who had accepted a job offer in Minneapolis, took me to dinner. You know, Mom, I've been thinking about what you did and how you handled everything so strategically, he prompted. Would you consider doing some financial consulting for my new company? I smiled, touched by his confidence in me. I might be interested, though I hope you've learned to read the fine print on any documents before signing them. He laughed and assured me, trust me, that's one lesson our whole family won't forget. As we enjoyed our meal, I felt a profound peace. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just about getting even. It's about becoming stronger, wiser, and prepared for whatever the future holds.